I'm Jasmine Bibb, and this is To the Woman It May Concern, the podcast, a show where real women talk about real life, one letter at a time. High-performing women navigating identity, purpose, and becoming deserve a safe space, one without the pressure to have it all figured out. Each episode, we explore the wisdom, the wrestle, and the wonder of becoming the woman you were always meant to be. Because I believe every woman has a letter in her, one that could help someone else feel seen, heard, or simply not alone. So, let's get into it. So, hello, and welcome back to another episode of To the Woman It May Concern, the podcast. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. So glad you made the choice to listen. And if this isn't your first time, as always, I appreciate you for showing up and supporting me yet again. So, guys, today, you already know what I'm about to say. You're in for a treat. Yes, I know. Now I must just say that simply because I say it all the time. But again, I say it because I mean it. Today, I have joining me Ashley Roberts. Now, for those of you, some of you who know me personally will know that Ashley and I are cousins. And then some of you who don't, I just told you, Ashley and I are cousins. And so, guys, I love Ashley. It has been super cool becoming a woman and having Ashley in my corner. I admire her for her strength and her resilience and just the bond that we continue to build as women and as family. So, Ashley, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. You got it. So, with that being said, as you know, with this show, I love a good bio about my guest, and Ashley is no different. We'll open up with who Ashley is as the person, and we'll round it out with who Ashley is as the professional. So, with that being said, Ashley describes herself first as a devoted wife and mother of three, with a heart for guiding and supporting children, both academically and emotionally. Her life reflects a deep commitment to faith, family, and community. She co-leads Diamonds in the Rough, an all-girls church group she runs with her cousin and sister in Christ. This is where she inspires young women to grow in resilience, self-worth, and their walk with God. In her free time, when she finds some, Ashley enjoys reading, listening to true crime and motivational podcasts, and unwinding with Marvel movies. Steadfast in her faith, Ashley is continually working toward becoming the best version of herself for her family, her students, and her community. Professionally, she holds a bachelor's degree in behavioral health science with an emphasis in childhood and adolescent disorders. She currently serves as a third grade teacher at a Catholic school where she blends her love for education with her calling to nurture young minds. Alongside teaching, she also works part-time as a mental health specialist for children, providing both care and encouragement for their emotional well-being. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, in reading your bio, I think the interesting thing is that depending upon you think for the logistics of this show, I record and then I, prioritize and put things in order for the different recordings that will be released. And so this one will probably release in about 2 weeks, but what I'm about to say is very relevant. So today in the world was a tough day to be a teacher, a tough day to be a parent of children. And so I just take my hat off to you. I think that you think there are a lot of jobs where people feel like, oh, it's dangerous to do that, but you never think it's dangerous or that your life is in harm's way by being a teacher. And I just want to say that I appreciate the courage that you have for not only yourself, but for your students when you think about days like today and what happened in Minneapolis.
Yes, absolutely.
So I just wanted to say that in your bio,
Thank
it talked a lot about children and nurturing and all the things that are right for society and for this world. And um, I just love that you use your calling to pour into the people that need it most, the little ones.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So, with that being said, my very first question to you that I always ask my podcast guests: if your life were a soundtrack, what would song number one be and why?
I really am not a music fan. I
Okay.
don't clean up to music. I don't drive to music. I don't really have an answer.
Okay. So then let's shift it slightly. You don't do music. That's cool because sometimes a silent car ride is better than anything.
Yes.
We're on a podcast. So, if you could host a podcast, what would your theme or topic or category be for the podcast that you would host?
More than likely, it would be self care, only because I feel like that would be something that I am working on currently.
Hmm,
And I think it would be interesting to see my journey from learning how to self care, whether it be maintenance, whether it be emotional. I think that's very important. And maybe within the last 2 years, I'm learning how to do that. So to take other people on a journey with me to understand that would be pretty cool.
I like that. I think more often than not, we all find ourselves in this space. Like, what does self care look like? How
Mhm.
do I do it? Who can help me figure it out? And I think the more we bring people along in a transparent way of the struggles, but also the small and big things that self care can be, I think it can be an eye opener for some people.
Yes, and it could be anything. It could be how you physically take care of yourself, how you emotionally take care of yourself, eating right. It could be anything. Any little thing that you're doing to better yourself is self-care to me.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay. So my second question would be, so I made the outreach and I said, okay, Ashley, I think it's time for you to share a letter. I'm sure you have a really great one. And you said yes. Why?
I said yes first because it was you. I've always
Thank
been
you.
the supportive cousin. I want to be there for everyone.
Hmm.
Then when I thought about it, I had to realize that there's strength in growth. So even though my story is unconventional, I wanted to add that to your podcast to make it something different, a
I
different
like
point
that.
of view, a different perspective, a different obstacles.
I think that's what
Someone can
makes it
relate to me.
beautiful. Exactly. And that is what makes this whole thing beautiful is my expectation for this is not an expectation of what each person's letter is, but instead the expectation is that I bring diverse perspectives, diverse backgrounds to the conversation and create awareness because you said it. Somebody can relate to your story. And if everybody's letter is the same or some version of the same, or everybody is some version of the same, cloth,
Mhm.
who wants to listen to that?
True.
Episode after episode, you want to be curious to say, okay, who's coming on? What is their letter going to be about? And what am I going to get from it? And
Yes.
when I say the responses that I get on a consistent basis with the variety of people that have come on thus far, it's pretty cool to see what resonates with
Good.
people
Good.
and why. So, yeah. So,
Love it.
thank you for saying yes. All right. So, with that being said, we did our warm up questions. I did my bio for you, introduced everybody to you, talked a little bit. So, now you know what we're here to do. We're here to hear your letter. So, whenever you're ready, take your time. The floor is all yours. And then we'll get into some conversation about your letter.
Okay. So my letter is written to me. It doesn't have a title or a theme, but basically I wanted to say, despite the odds, you can still become the woman you were meant to be. So my letter says, Dear me, take a deep breath and look at how far you've come. Your journey may not have followed the traditional route, but every step, every turn, every hard choice, it all shaped the beautiful, resilient woman you are today. You have so much to be proud of. You have a devoted husband who sees you completely, flaws, strengths, and all, and never turns away. He accepts and loves you for who you are, and his loyalty has been a safe place when you needed it most. You have an eldest daughter who grew up right alongside you. She watched you rise, and in her no nonsense strength and tireless work ethic, you see a reflection of the lessons your life has taught her. That nurturing heart, she got it from you. Your middle girl shines with intelligence and originality. She's bold enough to be herself in a world that often demands conformity. And that courage, you help cultivate it. And then there's your son, your baby boy, who softened your heart in ways you never expected. His love is pure, unfiltered, and constant. The kind of love that makes all broken pieces feel like they were always meant to fit. You dropped out your senior year. You became a mother when the world said you weren't ready, but you didn't stop there. You earned your GED at 24. You rose from what some people might have called the end. You turned it into a beginning. You were raised by your grandmother, and her wisdom now lives on through you. You became a wife of 8 years, a woman with a degree, a teacher, a leader, a light, a nurturer, a fighter. You are someone. You are worth being proud of. You let go of that imaginary handbook that says life must follow a perfect sequence. Life is not about hitting milestones on a timeline. It's about trusting God's plan, walking hand in hand with Him, even when the path is unclear, and holding tightly to His unchanging hand when the road gets rocky. You always wonder what your purpose is, and the answer has always been there: a mother, a wife, a caregiver, to be you in all your realness, your tenderness, your fire, and grace. So next time doubt creeps in, read this again. You didn't just survive, you became. And what you become is nothing short of remarkable. With pride and love, me.
Love that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That is truly everything that you said in that letter is you, from the reflection of your children to your journey, to, the resilience when it comes to your education and the steps that you took to assume the seat that you have today. You should have signed that letter with pride, for sure. You're welcome. Okay. So with that being said,
Mhm.
my first question to you is about your writing process. So you think there are so many different things that you could have written about, right? But you chose the sequence of topics and events in your life that you did. So did it like come naturally to you? Like, she asked me for this letter. Yep, I know what I want to write. Or did you have to kind of sit down? Maybe you started one topic and then said, no, I don't think I want to do that. And then eventually found your rhythm into what you ended up sharing a few minutes ago.
So when you originally asked me, I thought, why would she want to talk to me? I'm not that interested. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I was genuinely surprised that anyone wanted to hear anything that I had to say or how I felt or what I thought about anything. So when I was laying in bed one night and I was like, let me start this letter. And I was like, but what would I talk about? And my cousin and I always talk about our purpose. And she always says, our purpose isn't being a mother. Your purpose isn't being a wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I always disagree with her because
Really?
this is these people and these instances and these moments are what molded me and encouraged me to be the person that I am. So my purpose doesn't necessarily have to fit a conformity or anybody else's standards. My purpose is my purpose, and it doesn't have to align with someone else's purpose. So I said, I'm going to write about the things that make me feel that I'm doing the right thing. and it's my husband, it's my children, it's my job. And it might seem pretty boring, but that is when I think about how far I've come, those things are the things that I'm most proud of. So that's what I wanted to talk about.
I love that. I love that perspective because I think it's so easy to I guess I love it because it's super reflective. Like to say, I am better because of them. And
Yes.
here are the things that got me to them.
Yes.
That's pretty powerful. I don't know how often we take the people in our lives and like connect the dots in that
Mhm.
way to
Mhm.
say, this is where I was. And as a result of these people coming into my space, here's where I am now. So, to your point, some could argue that it's your purpose, and some
Mhm.
could simply say it's just what you took from them
Mhm. Mhm.
is what you then pushed out into the atmosphere as a part of your purpose. That's thought provoking. I like the way that you came to the conclusion as to like what made sense to write about. So you mentioned a few things in your letter that I want to dive into a little bit deeper.
Okay.
To build onto this thought of purpose, when you think about your husband, each of your children, and granny that raised you,
Mhm.
what is one lesson or like one takeaway that each of them has given you that makes you the person that's sitting here having this conversation with me today?
I think the core of all of them is faith. She instilled so much faith in me, whether it be spiritual, emotional. The core of all that is faith. So I had to have faith to believe that my husband could be my husband and be
Hmm.
a leader and I could walk alongside of him. I had to have faith in myself that I can be a good wife, that I can be a good mother, that I can be a
Mhm.
good teacher. I had to have faith in my children that what I instill in them will show. So I think the whole core of everything that I am and everything that I do is based upon faith.
Hmm. Has it always been that way?
No, no. Fear stopped me from doing a lot of things, and I had to stop that fear to step into my faith.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What would you say, or when, maybe is the better question, would you say was that turning point when you moved from fear to faith? Was it a certain point or a certain like touch point that you had with one of the individuals you're speaking of? Was it a life event or circumstance? Like what was the thing that turned you in the opposite direction and heading towards faith and away from fear?
I don't think it was a specific thing that happened. I think it came with maturity.
Hmm.
It came with maturity and realizing that, okay, these children will be adults one day. And when these children are gone, I still have to have a good relationship with my husband.
Hmm.
My husband will be here forever. So I still, I have to have faith in everything, I think. That came with maturity and it took a long time to realize the importance of marriage. My husband and I were together we've been together 20 years. We've only been married 8.
Mm.
So it took me a while to realize, okay, this is God's plan. This is who I'm supposed to be with. This is who I'm comfortable with. This is who I need in my life. I had to realize that my children are going to be adults one day, and I have to instill in them good things. I have to pour good things into them for them to pour good things out into the world.
Mhm.
That took a lot of maturity. And I keep saying that word, but I had my children young. I met my husband young, and we all literally grew together. So it just one day I was just like, be a better wife, be a better mom, focus on yourself. Like all of it just came together and I just went with the flow of it all.
So, based on that thought where you just kind of said one day, okay, I got to change this. And more importantly, you mentioned the piece of your children being adults one day. Of the lessons that you've learned around maturity and faith and the ways in which you have to move, what's based on each of your children being so different? What's one piece of advice based on your lived experiences that you would give each of them to like hopefully set them up as the adults that you have faith that they will become?
The one thing that I can recall that I always tell each of them is to stick together. That is one thing that I always tell them. Both my girls have had experiences where friendships didn't work out, but they always had each other. I'm trying to show my son what a good friend is, what a good person is, what a good human is. I want them to understand that the world is not always a safe place. It's not always a happy place.
Mhm.
It depends on you to make life worth living, to make it fulfilling and things like that. Their mindsets are all different, but me instilling in them that family first will always be there for you and even extended family. I think that can get you far.
I agree. When you opened up, I think maybe the question I asked you around why you no, it wasn't. It was you answered the question as to why you said yes, but then when you finished your letter, you made mention that you initially thought, why would she ask me? I'm not that interesting, right? So I think we as women oftentimes find ourselves like in that same headspace, not just about being on a
Mhm,
podcast, but about like navigating life in general. And so, how do you talked about how you overcame it and said, like, why not me? But
mhm.
when you find yourself in those spaces in other areas of your life, how do you navigate or approach those scenarios to get to the piece of, well, why not me? Because when you think about like our kids, they'll be in that spot, right? To the point
Mhm.
of like the things you have to instill in each of them. And so what are the tools that you use to overcome those moments that we all still have today? No one's perfect. We're not consistent in believing that we're like the bomb, right?
Mhm.
Like on Monday we are, on Tuesday we're
Yeah,
hot best, right? So
yeah.
so so what do you do? What are those tools and how are you working to like push those forward? Maybe not even just in your children, but like in the children that you serve outside of your household.
I feel like the hardest thing is that we are always our own worst critics, right?
Ugh.
We are so hard on ourselves, and self-validation is important, but I always felt like my feelings or my accomplishments or my goals or dreams had to be validated by somebody else.
Mm,
And I had
mm,
to realize that that's not important. I don't even since you told the world that we are cousins, even being in the same room as you, I feel small sometimes because I'm
mm.
not as successful as you. And just listening to you, even though I am older than you, I always tell you that I look up to you. And I don't think age or anything has to do with it. It's not even about accomplishments. You don't have to dummy yourself down or try to elevate yourself to sit in a room full of people that don't have the same goals or the same accomplishments as you. We feed off each other all the time. Our cousins group, we
Yeah,
come from the same background, but we all took really different paths.
yeah.
But we all still get along and we all still have a good time together.
Mhm.
I don't We have to take a moment to realize that our path is unique, and that's okay. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be the same. The uniqueness of it all is what makes it good.
Agreed. I was just gonna say that that's what makes it beautiful, right?
Mhm.
To the point of what I said about these letters, if every letter was the same, every show was the same, no one would be paying attention. Who
Mhm.
wants to, okay, she's just gonna bring on somebody who's gonna talk about XYZ. I already know how this letter
Mhm.
goes. I already
Yeah,
know how this conversation happens. But
yeah.
instead, the different backgrounds, the different
Mhm.
perspectives is what makes it so engaging. And it's
Yes.
not just about this podcast, but just to your point of like the conversations that we have as a
Mhm.
cousins group, or when you think about friendships and the
Yes.
diversity and friends that you have, like that is what keeps it interesting, and that is what keeps us growing, and to some extent keeps us all humble.
Yeah, true. Yes. I feel like when we get together or when friends get together and they all are different, it reminds me of like the episode The Girlfriends. Like
Yeah.
all of us are so different, but look how they come together and they support each other and they help each other. Like I feel like everybody needs that. And it's okay to be successful or to own businesses. It's okay to be a stay-at-home mom. Like all the things. It is okay. As long
Yeah.
as you are happy and you are content and you are satisfied, it's always something to be proud of.
Agree. And I think not only that, but like how you says, hey Jasmine, this is the space I see you in. But then
Mhm.
there are spaces that I see you in that I've admired about you for as long as we've been like, you've been very, I can remember you knowing how to comb the heck out of your hair at like, look, 2 years old. So there's just certain things that you've always been able to do, from an independence, resilience, just all the things that I think, although you maybe in those moments may have reflected and said, like, why does this have to be my story, or why is this like this? Whereas I'm looking at all like, oh my gosh, she gets to
Mhm.
comb her hair,
Yeah.
or she gets to do this or go here, or she knows how to make toast and put sugar on it.
Right.
Like the things that like really draw
Or
you to
small
people,
to people, it
that
could be amazing to someone else.
exactly, exactly, and I think that's the beauty, to your point, of the diversity is you think, you're looking at somebody else like, "Wow," and that person's
Yeah.
looking at you like, "Wow," too,
Yeah. And I'm like, "What?" That's what I do every day.
And I'm
Sprinkle the
like, "Show
sugar."
me.
No.
Show me. How do I do that?" And so
Right.
things like that, like, it's funny now and it seems so small, but it speaks to
Mhm.
the conversation at hand that, you're we always have our eyes set on the admiration of someone else, and in a
Mhm.
positive way, not in a
Yeah.
way of, like, negativity, but, yeah, you
Mhm.
just never know. I think in life, we think, "Oh my god, I should be doing more. Oh my
Mhm.
god, social
Mhm.
media tells me I should be doing
Mhm.
better. I'm 10 years behind where I should be," et cetera, and it's like,
Yes.
"No,
It's
no, it's
okay.
about becoming a person, right? All the
Yes.
other stuff is like fine, like, but at the end of the day, always sometimes, and this probably isn't it's not a mean thing to say, but sometimes if I see someone in like, I don't know, a Bentley, which is not often,
Mhm.
you think they always say that oftentimes people with the most are often the most unhappiest.
Mhm.
And so when you see someone in that space, you're like, I wonder if they're even happy with all of this stuff that they're
Yeah.
saying that they have,
Yeah.
versus I'm learning that simplicity is really where it's
Mhm.
at.
Mhm.
You
I
think,
experienced that today when I was driving
do tell.
from the nail salon. There was like a I don't wanna say it was a Bentley, but it was like a Maserati or something next to me, and the
Mhm.
windows cracked, and there was a girl, and she was jamming, and here I am in my little Dodge truck jamming, and I'm like, "I'm just as happy as her. My radio worked just like hers."
Exactly.
It's okay, like, it's okay.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. I agree. You think, so the street that we live on, they do an annual block party. And so we live on a really long street, but like our block specifically, Saturday they shut the street down, and just all day there was activities. There was face painting for the kids, there was slime making, there was inflatables. The fire truck came and let the kids try the stuff on, and just all of these things. And so at the end of the night, the last activity was, a movie on the lawn,
Okay.
uh, in someone's house on the street, and I can remember sitting there watching Raquel watch the movie and, like, all the kids and the parents talking, and I just thought, like, these are the moments that
Mhm,
matter in life.
mhm.
These are the things that bring genuine happiness. And she was just sitting in the grass on a blanket on her stomach eating popcorn, watching the movie, and I was just like I think I might have, like, shed a tear because it was
Yeah.
like, "This is such a beautiful
Yes,
moment."
the simplest things, like, you don't have to go above and beyond. Ace and I were at the Tourney block party
Mhm.
this weekend, and it was a bouncy house with a Spider-Man on it, and that was, like, the greatest thing in the world to him, and I'm standing there like, "How long do I have to stand here?" And he was just so happy. He was literally the only child in there, and I'm like, "It's the simple things, like a little snake painted tattoo, like, the simple things, the moments that you don't even think twice about. I love it.
And so, speaking of this topic, let me ask your opinion. Where do you think at what point in our lives or what do you think happens that takes us away from realizing that the simplicity is where the joy is? Like, what are your thoughts on when that
The
happens in a
hustle and
person?
bustle of the work world and trying to be better in the economy and trying to survive and all the things. I think that that takes away trying to survive and, you know, trying to have a nice car and trying to have a decent job and not living paycheck to paycheck. Those things are stressful.
Yeah.
And I think it takes away of all the precious moments that
Mm,
we forget about or we don't get to enjoy or we don't remember. It's like the little things, the best things in life are free. I think that that's like so true because seeing a kid smile
mhm.
or making a elderly person laugh or listen to them tell a story about how candy was a penny back in, things like that are like things that we take for granted now. Things that are not important to us should be again. I think those little things make life worth living.
I agree. So, growing up, I would say maybe growing up and now, what's your little thing? Like when you were younger, you talked about Granny, you talked about high school, you talked about your oldest daughter, having her young. In those moments, can you remember? And maybe it's a lot of different little things, but like, what were the little things? Sometimes you just need something to like bring you back down to like that space of like being somewhat maybe centered is the right word when we do get like wrapped up in the hustle and bustle. Do you feel like you had any of those? It could have been the penny candy. I don't know. Like, do you have any moments like that that you could reflect on?
I'll tell this story every year on the 4th of July. When Granny used to barbecue, we will always get a box of Rice Krispie treats. And that was like a special moment. That was something we didn't get all the time. But I knew when the 4th of July came, we were having those Rice Krispie treats. And it's so funny because I have a 40 box of Rice Krispie treats in my cabinet that's been there for a month that nobody will touch. I wasted my money at Sam's Club. And I'm like, those were so hard to come by then. Like that was like a real treat. And that just goes back to what we just said before, like the little things, you don't even appreciate them anymore because it comes so easily or you get wrapped up in everything else that you don't even realize. Like every time I see that Rice Krispie treat, I'll be like, I had to wait till the 4th of July to get these and you guys got a box getting stale in the cabinets now. Like those
Mm,
like core memories and those little instances and you and I having matching bathing suits.
mhm,
Like things like that. Like those are like things that are so special that you don't even like you remember, but you don't process it until you like sit down and think about it. Like that was like a really cool thing. I love that. I can't
I
believe I
like that
remember.
answer. I like that answer a lot. It's this piece where you're like, you're grateful you can buy a 40
Yes,
box, right? But at the
yes.
same time, it's the rare moments where, as a kid, you looked forward to something,
Mhm.
where I think so many things are given to us now and we don't have to
Us and the children.
pause. We don't have to have patience. It
Not a
was
second thought about it. Just get it. Mhm.
That's such a great, like, perspective on that particular story to say, like, "We don't wait for nothing anymore, we want everything now. We get it and still don't want it,"
And think nothing of
versus
it. Mm.
and think nothing of it. I love that. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the advice you would give your children. We talked about, uh, your journey. Talk about I think there's something to be said from when you only have to worry about yourself and when you then have to worry about a child. And so, how do you think, based on your different experiences, you've talked about like how motherhood has like gotten you to this spot right now,
Mhm.
but that's with all three children. Talk about the change in Ashley, the individual, to becoming Ashley the mom. Like, I feel like the hustle changes. I feel like
Mhm.
your perspective changes. I feel like your protective,
Mhm.
spidey senses kick in. Talk about how that helped you like set that baseline. I'm sure now that whatever the baseline is that you're going to talk about, you've built on that with your
Mhm.
husband and the rest of your children. But like, what was that entry point for Ashley?
So let's go back to when I first became a mother. I knew that something inside of me wanted to be a mother. That was something that I didn't have. That was a void that I needed to fill. And saying that out loud now, thinking 17, 18-year-old, oh, I want to be a mother is insane, right? But when you have something, when you don't have something, it's a void. So,
Mm,
me not being raised by my mother, I thought that being a mother and having a child was a void that I could fill, that I could give a child something that I did not have. I knew all the things as a teenager that I was missing, that I missed, that I didn't get, that I didn't get to talk about, and things like that. So once I became a mother, even at 18, motherhood was very important to me.
mm,
Always wanted my daughter to be dressed nice, to go to the best schools, to be able to talk to me about the things that I had no one to talk to about.
mm-hmm,
And then 3 years later, Amari is here.
mm-hmm,
2 girls. So I said, "Goodness, I really have to be a good example because now I have 2 daughters, 2 people that are gonna turn into women in society." So even though I was not shown an example through a mother, of course, I had other women in my life, Auntie Kelly, Auntie Sean,
mm-hmm,
Monique, Granny. There were a ton of women who were successful and things like that. It's still not the same as having a mother.
mm,
So when I had the girls, I said, I'm going to give them everything that I didn't get. I'm going to give them all the love and all the talks and all the things that I felt that I missed out on. Then there was a huge gap. And I have to tell my girls, I'm not the same person I was when you guys were little.
mm.
And they say, oh, you treat Ace like this and he does this and he gets away with this. I'm old now.
Not
It's
I'm
not the
old
same.
now.
My energy has run out. So
Feel
you
that?
you evolve in different ways, right? And I'm like,
Mhm.
and then having girls, daughters, and sons is a whole different thing too.
Yeah.
The things that these young black boys are going through are horrific.
Mhm.
The things that these young girls, not even just black girls, these young girls are going through are horrific. So it's a scary thing. It's so scary, but my journey has been I'm the growing up right alongside my kids. But it's not even the same from when Amari and Zanaya were little versus now Ace. Times have changed, people have changed, the climate of the world has changed, everything. So literally, I'm just going with the flow of everything.
Mm.
But you just kind of evolve and you just wake up and get through it.
Do you think that your different experiences, based on what you just shared, how do you think your perspective has shaped you leaning into your gift for children? Like, where does that come from? I think it takes a special person to want to be a teacher, to want to work with children in the capacity that you do, to then go on and get a bachelor's in the space that continues to focus on children. Like, where does that come from? Was that birthed from your journey? Like, tell me more about that.
So me working in childcare and working with children, that did not come naturally. That is something that even though I love my children, I
Mhm.
was not a fan of children. So I always, and I think this goes back to Granny, I had a thing for elderly people. So I
Mm,
was like, oh, I want to do gerontology, the study of aging and Alzheimer's and that. And then that shifted. And then I started working with special needs adults and I loved it. That was
hmm,
very, very important to me. Then it went on to special needs kids. I worked in the behavior unit and the special needs unit for 7 years with children of all types of disabilities. And I mean, from being completely paralyzed to just having a slight learning disability.
hmm.
And being around children, I was like, I'm good at this. I didn't want to be good at this, but I am. I was like, no, I can't. But it just turns into something that I was just naturally good and I was naturally interested in. From going from aging adults to adults with disabilities to children with disabilities, now just children, period. That is a part of a purpose, a aha moment right now, because that was never my purpose. That was never my plan,
Ooh, that's
but it was
good.
something that just evolved into something that I am enjoying every bit of.
That organic flow.
Yes, that was never a part of my plan, but
Ain't
it
that funny?
I'm here and I love it.
Ain't that funny how it comes together sometimes? We plan, God laughs.
Yes, yes.
Hmm. That's so interesting. I don't think I realized, to your point, obviously, we love our children, but don't love all children. But to just understand the evolution, the consistent thread in that
Mhm,
that stuck out in my head as I was listening to you was empathy.
mhm,
I
mhm,
think given the spaces that and the people and the types of people, there's a certain level of empathy you have, and I
mhm.
think anybody in a space like that must have for people.
And I think that took me to where the whole empathy thing, it took me because I don't think if I would have jumped right into teaching, I wouldn't have the empathy that I do now.
True.
I wouldn't have the patience because going from elderly adults to adults with disabilities to children with disabilities, all that was just a molding for where I am now. And
Mhm.
not even to say that that's the end all be all, because it could be something greater than that ahead
Mhm.
too. But the patience and things that I have now and my ability to recognize when a child needs help or when a child is going through trauma or stress or all that is from things that I've learned in the past.
Mm. Me too.
Yes.
You gotta write that down. Something's gonna come from that. I love to hear that. Okay. So when you think about your comment that somebody's gonna be able to relate and identify with your letter, for that listener that is listening intently and is like, "Oh my god, I can so relate. I've had some of the same similar experiences, maybe to the T or maybe pieces and parts." What what do you have to say to her about her journey? Maybe she's not yet able to find herself in the space where she's comfortable with her journey and where she is currently or where she's been. Maybe she's embarrassed, or maybe
I
she
love
lives
that
a
word.
life that her story is the complete opposite from what
Mhm,
she puts on.
mhm.
What do you have to say to her?
The main thing that I love to say is you are not your past. I think that is important. Like I said before, there is strength in growth. You can be unconventional and still be successful. You can be unconventional and still be proud of yourself. You can still have purpose and joy It's okay to make mistakes. That's the biggest part of everything is learning to adapt from mistakes. When someone is when you're faced with detours, whether it be unexpected children or a job loss or anything, how resilient you are is what matters. How you bounce back. Where do you go from here? It can still lead to purpose and joy all the time if you let it,
Mm,
despite the odds.
I like that. If you let it, I think you said it. We are our own
Mhm,
worst critics. And so we judge ourselves more harshly. We put these labels on ourselves
mm,
that we don't deserve. And so we assume that everything we think, everybody else is thinking the same
uh-huh.
thing. So
Yes.
what we talked about the toast and
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
so for that listener, I hope you heard what Ashley said because I think there is power. And if you let it, you have to be open to letting it. Otherwise, you'll only continue to be your own worst enemy.
Mhm. Yes. A word.
Look, what's the young kids do now with the little finger clap with the little
Yeah.
two fingers?
Yeah.
All right. So, my last question for you.
Okay.
If this letter had a PS, what would it be?
Remind yourself that the world's success doesn't have to be your success.
Oof, that's a mic drop
Is it? Good.
because I think we all struggle with that. Our definition is based on the world.
Mhm.
And if we continue to try to strive towards the world's success, we will never, it's too big, it's too
You'll
general.
never reach it. You'll always be disappointing yourself.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay. Well, Ashley, are there any parting words that you have for today's listener? No pressure. Just thought I would give you the space if you have anything else you want to share before we wrap up.
No, I'm okay. Despite the odds,
Despite the odds, dot,
we
dot,
are
dot.
here, we are talking. I love it.
Indeed. Indeed. Okay. So, guys, that is today's episode. You've heard such a powerful letter from Ashley, a very vulnerable letter from Ashley about her journey and the lessons that she's learned along the way and how that's shaped the woman that you see or hear, depending upon how you listen to this podcast today. And so I would encourage you to continue reflecting on your journey, no different than I say at the end of every episode. And it is my hope that Ashley's letter may have inspired you to write your own letter. And if it has, please feel free to email me at hello@oamcollective.com. I'd love to have you as a guest on the episode or on the show, excuse me. I can also be followed on Instagram at the Overachiever Mom. And until the next time, hope that you stay well, reflect on Ashley's letter, write your own, and remember that the world's success is not your success. Word to Ashley. Bye, guys.